So this morning I have some more information I want to share with the public today. We'll get started with this particular article on the Irish Star. Vladimir Putin has a non-suicidal plan, nuclear plan, to defeat the West. Vladimir Putin has been warned to be planning to use nuclear weapons in a tactical strike on the West with the aim of not causing a suicidal Armageddon scenario. And of course that falls in line with what is written here and in 1 Thessalonians, I believe. Five. Okay, the day of Yehovah's wrath, not the day of the Lord, but the day of Yehovah's wrath. The time and the season, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for you yourselves know perfectly. And what he means is, there is no way that you should be caught sleeping. You should see it coming a mile away. But wait, he says, you know yourselves perfectly that the day of Yehovah so comes as a thief in the night. So why does it sound like that I am saying the opposite of what Paul is saying? He explains a little bit further, and I'll get to that. So comes as a thief in the night. Well, who does it come as a thief in the night to? To the world. For when they, the world, shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Oh, does that include those who are paying attention? No. He goes on to explain. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. So if you're paying attention and you know what is going to happen, you know that the redemption of Israel is imminent, and you know that when the two witnesses come to gather all Israel from the four winds, you know that you are to go with them. And who was Paul speaking to? He was speaking to Thessalonians, who were Greek Gentiles. So that means at the day of Jehovah's wrath, the Gentiles who are grafted in among the branches of Israel through Yehoshua, not through Jesus, because Jesus can't graft anybody, but Yehoshua is the avenue to which you as a Gentile can be grafted in among the branches of Israel. So if you are not of the world, if you are paying attention, you have your things ready and even your passport ready to go when they say to come, then you are not the children of darkness. You are not in darkness that day should overtake you as a thief. You should see it coming a mile away. You are all the children of light and the children of the daytime. We are not of the night nor of the darkness. So for this reason, don't sleep as the others do, but let us watch and be sober. Are you watching? Are you paying attention? So let's go back to this. Remember, while they are saying peace and safety, and they have been doing so for quite some time, The day of Jehovah's wrath will come upon them like a woman in travail, and they shall not escape, which means they're going to try to evade it. Can't be done. Has been warned to be planning to use nuclear weapons in a tactical strike on the West with the aim of not causing a suicidal Armageddon scenario. Whereas I have often pointed out to you that the suicide Armageddon scenario happens because they enter into the land of Israel in retaliation for Israel, Yehuda, and Jerusalem getting back at Gaza and Lebanon, which has just happened to Gaza, and it has not been finished yet, but is now going to happen to Lebanon. And as I've learned this morning, also Syria. Get to that in just a minute. Russian expert contends that Vladimir Putin believes that he has a feasible plan for executing a nuclear strike against the West without resulting in his own annihilation. Russia has commenced drills featuring tactical nuclear weaponry, as announced last month, seemingly as a warning to Western nations regarding greater engagement in the Ukraine conflict. An ensuing statement from the Defense Ministry detailed that the initial phase of the new exercises involving practical training in the preparation of use of non-strategic nuclear weapons, namely the Iskander and the Kinzhal missiles, have nuclear capabilities. Previously, Putin has stated openly that Russia would resort to employing nuclear arms for the defense of its territory, regularly showcasing its nuclear strength during the military parades. Despite this, there remains an uncertainty surrounding whether Putin would actually employ a nuclear weapon against a NATO country, as such an action seems to just suggest an Armageddon-like scenario leading to the complete destruction of all parties involved. And if you bother to read Revelation 9, verses 17 and 18, you will plainly see that the Russians will in fact do this. Why? If you bother to read Ezekiel 38 and 39, you'll find out why. All right? So, however, Yuri Feltinsky, co-author of Blowing Up Russia with a Subsequent Kremlin Assassinated Alexander Litvinenko, has informed the Mirror that Putin indeed has a calculated stratagem for overpowering Europe via nuclear warfare at his disposal should the Ukraine situation not favor his objectives, reports the Mirror. Putin is seen as attempting to establish a new world order. Everybody wants to establish a new world order, potentially through a nuclear strike launched from Belarus rather than Russia, which would be suicidal. Alexander Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus and a close ally of Putin, has provided logistical support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Although no Belarusian troops have been sent, the country did allow Russia's forces to enter Ukraine during the initial offensive in February 2022. Putin considers this war to be a permanent war for a new world order. This may seem extreme, but it is not, stated Mr. Felshtinsky. Lenin was fighting for a world revolution. Trotsky was fighting for a permanent revolution. Stalin was taking one country after another and was stopped in Eastern Europe only because Americans created nuclear weapons first. The Soviet government was increasing its world domination by creating socialist system states in Asia, Africa, and even Cuba right under the USA's no, so Putin is not original. The difference is that he is proclaiming that Russia can win a nuclear war. Listen carefully. To use nuclear weapons to strike against the USA from the territory of Russia would be suicidal. To use it from the territory of Belarus to strike against Eastern Europe might be seen as a tactical move that guarantees capitulation of Europe and the victory over the USA. Since this scenario might happen only if the USA capitulates to Donald Trump first. And I did not watch the debate last night, but I read about the debate last night, and now CNN is telling Joe Biden to go somewhere, leave the White House. They're done with him. So the plan, listen carefully. The plan is for Donald Trump to get reelected, Europe to be isolated, and tactical nukes used against Europe, Russia defeating Europe, and Russia becomes the new kid on the block, the new ruler of the world, and also continue their invasion, including Israel. All right, let's go to the next article. Europe wants to drag the U.S. into this war before the election, knowing that Trump is going to win. Knowing in the back of their mind, unless they, of course, cheat. But I am not a supporter of the Republic nor the democracy. These two entities, the Greek democracy and the Roman Republic, are arch enemies of the Jews and the kingdom of Israel. NATO trying to bypass a possible election of Trump in the USA in 3 months. Listen carefully. The invasion by NATO forces in Ukraine begins. Plan of lightning advance. Now, this is War News 24/7, and it is translated from Greek into English, so it's kind of broken English. So, a while back, I believe it was, the U.S. says, look, we need all of our Patriot missile systems back. And of course, the Israelis, being Jews that they are very good at bargaining. Very good at it. To the point it makes some Gentiles jealous and angry. Well, I consider the ability to bargain a strength, not a character flaw. In about 3 months. Now, folks, remember what Paul said to the Thessalonians. You should see it coming. You are children of the day and not the children of darkness. You should see this coming when it's happening. In about 3 months. I mean, these guys are giving you timetables here. Around the end of September to the beginning of October, the deployment of NATO forces in Ukraine will begin to circumvent Donald Trump. To drag the USA neck deep into this World War III before Donald Trump has a chance to stop it. NATO has already taken measures against a possible Trump election in the U.S. so that the plan is not thwarted afterwards. This time was deemed necessary to complete the preparations in Poland, Romania, and Ukraine, as well as to finish Israel's operation in Lebanon. Huh? So, all of this is planned by NATO, including to finish Israel's war in Lebanon within 3 months. Folks, is it really that difficult to see what's coming? Well, I'm here to make sure that it's not difficult, that you can see this coming a mile away. U.S. sources say that the U.S. has convinced Netanyahu to fully support NATO operations in Ukraine after the end of the war in Lebanon. Please pay attention. Save these articles. Make your notes. This is information that is how it is not classified, I do not know. But it is information ready for you out in the public. And I will tell you that websites like this are soon going to be banned in Europe and the United States. So you better be paying attention. For this reason, NATO requested initially 8 MIM 1040D Patriot, whatever systems they are in from Israel. These are systems that Israel wants to withdraw as recently revealed by War News 24/7, and it won't be just 8 but many more. Perhaps this was also a deal between the U.S. and Israel to allow the invasion of Lebanon. This is what your bargaining chip was. So now, the United States of America has agreed to provide weapons again to Israel. We'll see that in just a minute. Israel to give back Patriot missile systems to the USA, and Israel can have their way with Lebanon and Syria. NATO is preparing a plan of lightning advance of NATO forces and their deployment inside the Ukrainian territory. All will act together. F-16s along with AWACS and air defense systems will provide an anti-aircraft shield to NATO forces as they enter Ukraine. And this is proof right here. You'll find it on Twitter. And detailed information, Ukraine battle map. And the New York Times. According to the New York Times, at the July 9 through 11 NATO summit in Washington, D.C., it will be announced the creation of an alliance mission in Germany to coordinate any kind of assistance to it. The creation of the mission is a strong signal of alliance commitment to long-term aid to Kiev, as well as a guarantee of NATO's continued support for Ukraine, even if Donald Trump wins the U.S. presidential election. This is probably going to start a civil war here in the United States, folks. So, you've been given fair warning. You've got 3 months or less to get your stuff together. I strongly urge you should have done it already a long time ago. But if you haven't started, you better start now, today. The mission will be called NATO Security Assistance and Training for NATO, for Ukraine. It will be based at a U.S. military installation in Wiesbaden, Germany. The mission will be led by a U.S. general who will report directly to the alliance top leadership and to the command of U.S. European Command and Supreme Allied Command Europe, Christopher Cavoli. The mission's functions will include coordinated assistance with various countries supplying Ukraine with air defense, artillery, and F-16 fighter jets, as well as training Ukrainian soldiers interacting on a long-term bilateral security agreement. This is an attempt to protect Ukraine from Trump and a deliberate attempt to bring Ukraine and NATO closer to support Ukraine today and in the future, former U.S. Ambassador to NATO Ivor Dalder told the newspaper. NSATU will work alongside the U.S.-led Assistance Contact Group for Ukraine. Once again, information on Twitter. So their plan is to set victory as the goal in the Ukrainian conflict. The Prime Minister of Estonia was the first today to open the, I don't know why they put dance in there, but that's not the correct word, dance of declarations and military movements. Poland followed, as we mentioned in our previous article, right here. Poland started a draft. Military victory should be the goal of the North Atlantic Alliance regarding the Ukrainian conflict, Estonian Prime Minister said at a joint press conference after the meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. Okay, so there's a lot more to go. A lot more, but I don't have time for that. But you can see very clearly what is going on. Now, on to Lebanon and Syria. U.S. begins evacuations of thousands of citizens, Israeli army to invade Lebanon and Syria simultaneously to eliminate Hezbollah. U.S. is going to send 3,500 bombs. The U.S., Germany, the Netherlands, Canada, North Macedonia, and Kuwait are asking their nationals to leave Lebanon immediately, while Germany, along with the U.S., Canada, Netherlands, Switzerland, Russia, and the UK, France, Ireland, and Australia have urged their citizens to avoid traveling to Lebanon following the tensions between Hezbollah and Israel. Additionally, according to breaking news, U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force helicopters and aircraft are expected to evacuate hundreds of American citizens from Lebanon to Cyprus and from there to the United States as Israel is set to launch its operation against Hezbollah. This, of course, is the Twitter statement from the State Department. You can see that, right? An unimpeded arms flow is now being promised by the Americans with the delivery of 1,700 500-pound Mk-82 bombs, this destined for Israel, which were not seized but were locked up. In other words, the Biden administration refused to allow them into Israel after Israel started taking Rafah. After the Israeli Defensive Forces launched an incursion into Rafah in southern Gaza, the second half of the shipment containing 1,800 2,000-pound bombs are still in consideration but will be approved soon. And OSINT Defender is the Twitter page that confirmed this. Israel War Gymnasiums. The attack will also include an invasion of Syria. Does the scripture back this up? The answer is coming in just a minute. Israeli troops held drills last week simulating fighting in Lebanon, which the military said were a part of the Northern Command's effort to increase readiness amid heightened tension on the northern border. The Golani Brigade, the 12th Brigade, which operates in Mount Dove and Mount Hermon areas in the northern border, conducted a combat simulation exercise in complex terrain, the Army says. Another exercise conducted by the 55th Parachute Reserve Brigade practiced various combat scenarios, including movement over the complex terrain and advancing along a mountain route, the IDF says. The drill comes amid daily attacks by Hezbollah terror group in northern Israel, amid the ongoing war in Gaza Strip. Israel has warned that it can no longer tolerate Hezbollah's presence along its border, following the October 7th atrocities, which has warned that if the diplomatic solution does not reach, it will turn to military action to push Hezbollah north. All right? And of course that's backed up by this particular one from Twitter. There is a strong possibility that an Israeli invasion to oust Hezbollah north of the Litani River would coincide with an Israeli invasion of southern Syria to oust Hezbollah and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard militias such as Fatimi Yon and Imam al-Hussein from Qunerta in the countryside of West Dara'ah. And of course that's backed up by this particular statement from Twitter. But once again, is there going to be an invasion of Syria by Israel? All right. Let's find out in Zechariah 9. And even King James Version, which their headline says, prophecies against Israel's enemies. This one is all of the above in the Middle East. The land of Hadrach, and that is, wow, I can't even remember. I did a video on it like 5 years ago. I pointed out where the land of Hadrach was. It's in Syria. And Damascus will be the resting place, the burden of the word of Yehovah, not the Lord. The burden of the word of Yehovah will rest upon the land of Hadrach and Damascus. It will be a time when the eyes of men, all the tribes of Israel, shall see, eyes shall see Yehovah. That is going to be at the time when the sixth seal is opened and the sixth shofar sound occurs. Let's stop right there and let us go to Revelation 6. Verse 12, and I beheld, and he had opened the sixth seal, and look, there was a great earthquake. See the last part of Ezekiel 38. That earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. Now we've gone over this, what this means. This is probably a time of nuclear weapons and meteor showers. Even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind, and heaven separated, parted asunder as a scroll, and the mountains and the coastlands were moved from their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in caves of the rocks of the mountains. That sounds like bunkers, shelters, where the President of the United States and Congress, and you go in Colorado or in West Virginia, Western Virginia, places like that around the world. In the dens and in the rocks and the mountains, says to the mountains and the rocks, fall upon us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne. Who is he that sits on the throne? Hide us from his face. The burden of the word of Yehovah. That's the one who sits on the throne. In the land of Hadrach and Damascus shall be the resting place, when the eyes of men, the tribes of Israel, shall effectively see Yehovah. That means all the people of the world will see him too. And they will hide from him. It is in the sixth seal. Hama 2. Tyre and Zidon. So is the war with Southern Lebanon and Syria going to occur at the same time? The answer is Yehovah will cast them out and smite their power in the sea, and they will be devoured with fire. So the answer is yes. Syria 2. A city of the Philistines will see it and fear. Gaza shall see it and be very sorrowful. A city of the Philistines. Her expectation will be dried up and withered away. And all of the Philistinian leaders will perish. From Gaza and Ashkelon, the city of the Philistines, it doesn't say shall not be inhabited. It says to sit and remain. What it means is people of Israel are going to dwell there. And the people of incest who were living in Ashdod, who used to live in Ashdod, will be cut off. The pride of the Philistines will be cut off. And their nasty, filthy chants will be taken out of their mouth, and their abominations from between their teeth. But anyone who is allowed to live there, they will be for Elohim. The governors of Yehudah will live there. And the inhabitants of Jerusalem, or Yebusi here, will live in Ekron. Will have Ekron. And I will encamp about my house to watch over, to block anyone who passes by and who returns from invading. No oppressor shall pass through them any more. Because now, see, he used to say he turned away. Turned his eyes away from his land and his people. Now his eyes are back on them. Now we have Zion's coming king. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king comes to you. He is just having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, upon a colt of the foal of an ass. I will cut off the invaders of the north of Israel and the invaders from the east of Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off. And he will speak peace to the Gentiles. He will offer them peace. And if they choose not peace, they will be destroyed. And his dominion shall be from the sea to the sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. From the Euphrates River to the sea. The blood covenant. The covenant of blood. Which covenant is that? The new covenant will send the prisoners, will fetch the Jews, all Israel, out of the pit of water. Not where there is no water. What is the pit of water? The Mediterranean Sea. The abyss. The abyssos. The blood of the covenant, the new covenant, will force the people of the abyss of the water to send back the prisoners. That's what this means. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. On this day, Haggai 20, verses 18 through 22 says when that day is. I will render upon you double the promise. I will bend Yehudah like a bow, and fill that bow with Ephraim, and raise up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece. That means Western civilization. Western civilization is the sons of Greece. And make Israel as a sword of a mighty man, and Yehovah shall be seen over them. So I say to all of you, prepare to see Yehovah with your own eyes on his throne, hovering over the Israeli army when they are defeating their enemies. In the war of Lebanon, Syria, Russia, etc. His arrow shall go forth as the lightning, and Adonai Yehovah will blow the shofar. This occurs on this, I believe, on the 6th or on the 7th to walk in the storm of Yemen. This is actually Yemen. Yehovah of hosts shall defend and devour and subdue with hanging stones. Or it says cornerstone. With a sling stone. I suggest to you that that is that stone carved out without hands that strikes the 10 toes. And they will drink and make a lot of noise with wine, and they will be filled like bowls as the corners of the altar, or at the corner of the altar. And Yehovah Elohim shall save, shall deliver them in that day. He's going to deliver the flock of his people, for they are the stones of a crown lifted as a sign upon his land. All right? So it is very, very clear now. The stage that is set, you should see it coming a mile away. You should prepare yourselves. Again, I ask you, please get your passports ready. And please get yourself some do your alms for the people that live in Israel right now. And as this war in Lebanon commences, because there are going to be people who are going to be injured, there are going to be people who are going to die, there are going to be people who are going to be suffering, who are going to need something to eat. And Leket Israel is doing everything that they can. They have even video, a long video, about an hour long right here that you might want to go ahead and watch. But he tells you what they are doing for this situation. And I know that there are other charities over there in Israel doing this. But be a part of this. Be a part of saving Israel. Even if it's only like I said, even if it's only $18. See that? Even if it's only $18, be a part of the solution. Don't be a part of the problem. Do not be the one who does nothing. Do not be the one who takes his talent and digs it in the earth and then presents it to his master on the day of his return. Don't be that guy. You can do something. I mean, if you can't be there and literally help out with your hands, you could do it from afar. This is like, you know, the parable of the servants. I think I'll go to that. Watch this. I hope I can do it this way. I might have to mustard seed. It's going to be right in front of me, and I won't see it, so I'll have to Google it. Okay. Maybe it's a parable of the talents. The Matityahu 25. No, it's not Matthew, it's Matityahu. Stop butchering the name of Yehovah. Well, 25. 25. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, this is verse 14, and called for his own servants to deliver them unto them his goods. And one of them he gave 5 talents, another 2, and the other one 1, and to every man according to his several ability. And straightway he took his journey. And when he had received the 5 talents, and he that received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made him another 5 talents. And likewise he that received 2, he also gained another 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants came and reckoned with them, and he said that had received the 5 talents came and brought forth other 5 talents, and saying, Master, you delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. And his master said unto him, Very well, you have done good and faithful servant, and you have been faithful over few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your master. He also had received 2 talents, and came and said, Master, who you delivered unto me 2 talents, look, I have gained you 2 more talents. And his master said unto them, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your master. Then he that received 1 talent came and said, Master, I knew that you were difficult. So his first thing he did was accuse him of being difficult. Reaping where you not sow. He accused him of being a thief. And gathering where it was not strawed. Another accusation of him being a thief. And that's exactly what the Christians and the Muslims are going to do when they come to try to defeat their master. But anyway, that's not the point I'm trying to make here. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the earth, and look, there you have it, it is yours. And his master said unto them, You wicked and lazy servants, you claim, you say that you knew that I reap where I sowed not, and you claim that I gather where have I not strawed. For that reason, if that was true, you should have put my money to the exchanger. You should have put it in the bank to draw interest, so that I should receive my money with usury. He didn't have to, he would not have had to do anything. Nothing. Just let the money sit there in the bank and draw interest, and that would have been sufficient. Personally, this is not biblical, it's just my opinion, that the people like Leket of Israel are doing that work. They are on the front lines. They are like the one with the 5 and the 2. The rest of us that are over here far, far away, we are like the one with the 1 talent. But the difference maker is this. All we have to do is just send them a little bit of money. Just send them some money. Out of the bank. Out of your PayPal account. Or your Venmo. Or whatever. Could do just something. This fella right here, all he had to do was stick it in the bank and let it draw interest, and it would have been sufficient. And he would have told him the same thing as the others. He would have. He would have told him, listen to me carefully. He would have told him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your master. $18? $18. How about monthly? It's better than nothing. And you will have been documented as being helpful to the cause of the needy and the poor in Israel. All right, so difficult times are coming. Don't wait till the difficult times come here to do something for the Jews who have been suffering difficult times for a millennia or more. All right, so do the right thing.